Welcome to the Hansen Brothers podcast. I'm Timmy and joined by my brother Kevin. We are teammates and world champions in rallycross. This podcast is our space to catch up while traveling the motorsport world.
Welcome to another episode of the Hansen Brothers podcast. This week we finally got some breaking news for you about the World Rallycross Championship, and I think we should dive right into it.
Yeah, the breaking news is Timmy's on holiday.
Yeah, I'm on holiday. I know.
It's unbelievable. He's taking holiday. The whole sport is absolutely in shock. We don't know what's going on. He's left the European continent, straight into Egypt. What is happening?
Yeah, what is happening? I just thought that's what the whole sport is upside down about. Yeah. I have left the workshop and now I am actually just enjoying some warm weather with the family. But it's worth talking about the actual news, not my holiday.
No, that's it for the episode. Cheers, guys.
So there is another secondary news element as well in the world of rallycross.
Yeah.
Tell me about it, Kevin.
Yeah, well, let me just read it straight away. Press release from the FIA yesterday, which is super exciting. The complete titled "Bold New Era for World Rallycross Championship" begins in 2025. Millions of motorsport fans across the globe will see unrivaled action of the FIA World and European Rallycross Championship return in 2025 as the FIA confirms they will take over the operations of the series with immediate effect.
Yeah, what does that actually mean, what you just read there? The press release basically is that the FIA has taken over themselves the running of the World Rallycross Championship, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it means.
That came from, like we know, and it says here in the press release, 3 months of market testing, and we have ended up with the president, Mohammed, deciding it's going to invest directly into the FIA World Championship and demonstrate, there we go, English confirmed, his commitment to a double participation in motorsport. So like he has decided, okay, I've checked out the market, I've checked out all the applicants, I think I can do this best. This is my championship. I'm going to turn this around and make it absolutely fantastic. And not only that, he's going to, push all with the FIA members club, and he's going to, invest in both championship. And speaking to them, they're going to really unify this sport again. If you think about other promoters, like, for example, our old one, they were there to make money, like any business is trying to do. And that means that they were trying to squeeze out pennies here and there, left, right, and center to make a good profit so their investors could take some return. Here in this instance, they don't need to make a profit, obviously. So every profit that the championship does make, they can put back into the sport and keep the growth of the championship and the sport from grassroots levels, these affordable cross cars up to national ASNs. It said also in the press release they're going to work with the ASNs to really strengthen the sport from the grassroots and up, and then coming to the European Championship, which obviously is a big piece of the growth of junior drivers coming up, and then into the World Championship, which needs to take another step forward and continue its growth to be a proper World Championship, just like they should be.
Yeah, I have, I think one big question that everybody asks about this is, first of all, I think this is the first time that the FIA has directly invested, because usually, they charge fees, etc., to run their costs. But they have actually now come out and said they will lose money. But the question is, why did they have to do that? Why has it come to this? And why don't we just have a normal promoter as every other sport right now? Like that, I think, is the question mark that you get when reading this press release. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I think both last promoters, that IMG did a good job to an extent. And then when they were starting to try and make a lot of money on having all the manufacturers that we had there, they started to overcharge. And at the same time, the technical regulations didn't quite manage to keep the cost controlled. This is 2018. And then that resulted in a lot of manufacturers pulling back. The financial model didn't work anymore. And obviously COVID came at the same time. And IMG basically also shut down his whole motorsport department with letting go Speedway and all that. We then left into another promoter, which obviously, again, is a company that took over the rights, and they then put in the non-free-to-air opportunity to watch the championship. Having grown a lot, but then stopped having the manufacturers there, so drive in, by their commercial platforms, new fans who then want to watch the sport. There wasn't any of that. There wasn't any big investments outside the paywall to then drive fans in to then get the paywall and then watch it. So we were stuck in this non-growth for quite a few years. We still grew quite a bit, but not as much as we needed to. And that's really been a damaging part of how we've ended up here that we are today. Basically, people tried to make too much cash from this sport when it wasn't strong enough to stand on its own legs properly. A lot of teams haven't got enough sponsorship due to this difficult structure, and drivers haven't been paid enough, so they prioritized other things. So it's been a really tough situation. So it needed to break off all the limitations. That's basically the idea here. Get rid of all the paywalls, structure everything with strong stakeholders, work together, unify everyone again, minimize cost, but again, put cost where it should be. So we need to invest in growing it again. And I think that's where a lot of the history comes into where we need to move forward to now, and why, again, FIA has pushed a lot now on free-to-air in broadcasting and digital.
And I think both fans and teams and drivers have all been asking, why are we only 8 cars in the World Championship right now? Like, we used to be 25 cars. Like, what's happened? One reason is simply that the European Championship is now also a very strong championship in itself. When the World Championship had 25 cars, there were no big European Championship as it is right now. So that obviously is taking up a few of the entries, but still, we all want to see a full grid of World Championship cars again.
Yeah, with the best drivers in off-road market that exists. We want the best. That's the World Championship. The World Championship of Rallycross is the peak of off-road short course racing, and the best drivers in the world should be on that starting grid. And we have not had that to the full extent, and now we need to get back to a 16-car grid, which is the cap currently with the franchises, and the drivers that are absolutely incredible and big superstars, great drivers, the best of the best.
Yeah, and like who that means in terms of names, obviously, like Kristoffersson, Baby, Granholm, Clara, like a lot of the drivers who we have been racing against are the top drivers, but it also exists a lot of other drivers that could potentially compete. I'm talking about like the Eriksson brothers, like Robin Larsson, Andreas Bakkerud for sure.
Fraser McConnell, for example.
Yeah.
Travis Pastrana,
Sebastian Loeb.
We're basically speaking a merger of Nitrocross and former World Rallycross.
Yeah, but
that is how it is.
Also, actually, we also need to include some of the European drivers, like Patrick O'Donovan, like if Anton Marklund would like to come back. Like we want to see all the Rallycross drivers who have been winning in one race and one championship, all out trying to decide who will be the world champion. Like that is what the World Championship should be, and it hasn't really been lately. And the hope now with the FIA taking over, and I think what we hope they will do is just like listen to the teams, listen to the fans, because the teams, fans, sponsors, promoter, organizers, we make up the sport. And I think the sport as a whole all have a very clear view of like where we want to be. I think we all agree on where we would like to go. And the difficulty lately, it's been that the promoter's business model has been so different to what we wanted to give to the fans. So the entire reason the promoter, bought into the World Rallycross Championship was they wanted to create Rally TV, which in their mind would be like the go-to place if you were an off-road fan. So you'll turn on Rally TV, you watch a bit of WRC, you watch a bit of World Rallycross, and so on. But in reality, it hasn't really worked out. Putting things behind a paywall is a massive damage, to a sport, and will drastically reduce the viewers.
Big enough.
Yeah,
if it's just Formula One, obviously, then there is such a strong fan base that you're willing to put $120 a year to watch 24 races, not to put $100 a year to watch 6 races, like you've been on Rally TV for us. So that just hasn't been a strong case. I think on Friday, so the day after this podcast is released, I believe I saw, let me double check, the 14th of March, the World Council will approve the new calendars, which is great, so we will know that. Now it's about making the sport happy, because the FIA owns the sport and they just want that to grow stronger. And in the future, they will sell it on to a new promoter again when it is at the right place. But current sake, they want to own it, build it, solidify it again as a great world championship.
Yeah, and I think that is key what you just said there. Like, this is not a long-term solution. I think everybody agrees on that. But the FIA, they so strongly believe in the sport of rallycross. They could have so easily just said, okay, it failed, let it go, move on, But they have directly now decided to invest their own money into the sport because they believe that rallycross has a place in the world of motorsport. And on paper, is what we've always been saying. Like, the race format suits like the current generation of like short form content super well, and the cars are really cool. We have the battle of technologies now. Like, on paper, rallycross should be doing much better than it is. So the idea is just kind of to bring the sport together again, put the sport back in the driver's seat, and listen to the fans, listen to the teams, and let's just go the obvious route where we know rallycross is fantastic, like the sport we all love. And hopefully that will convince a few people, again, to join the grid. I think it's looking good already with a bigger grid, but we'll have to wait and see. I think like this is exactly what the sport needed. I think if we would have gone to another commercial promoter right now, it's another one who wants to make money. They put in a little bit at the start to buy the rights, and then they're looking to make a return of the investment in 2, 3, 4 years, But that means not putting in the effort, or not putting the money into growing the sport, which the FIA's only goal right now is to grow the sport and to get it into the place where it needs to be to finally be, a proper world championship again with manufacturers, with cool city races, like Hong Kong picture that you got in the background, Bring rallycross back.
And I think, like we have had so much history, like going from petrol cars to electric cars, and now our dad is calling me.
Put it on speaker.
He's had some confidential meetings, so I can't put that on speaker. But like I was saying, we've grown into this battle of technology, and that is exactly what you see on the roads currently. When I walked up here today, there was an electric car, there was a hybrid car, there was a petrol car. That is what we see on the roads. And that is exactly what rallycross can showcase in a short course format that is perfect for social media, which everything is going towards.
Yeah.
And in a cheap way, because it's not expensive. Look at WRC, 30, 40, 50 million to put on a WRC team, because there's so much development and testing. Rallycross, it's so much cheaper. We're looking at the 2 million, operation there to make something great. And if you want to stretch it and go crazy, like some of the manufacturers did back in the days when they saw the return at the top, you can make it for 7 and still make money. And that's just imagine that. You have, instead of spending 30 in WRC, you spend 7 here, if we speak about top, and it just makes so much more financial sense, which is just a great thing for the sport. It just makes so much sense to save this sport. And that's what the president, thank God, has realized, that it's such a great asset, and we need to bring it back to where it's supposed to be. And especially with those 2027 regulations, which is super exciting. You're having a crossover between WRC, WRX. There is so much interest generally from different stakeholders, manufacturers into this new era. And I think that's what everybody also saw, that we cannot afford to slow down, step down, and not invest and find a solution, because there is too many promising things for the future. And obviously, we are in March. The season should originally have started in January. So it's a bit of a survival moment this season. Everything needs to come together. There needs to be sales of sponsorship. Everybody needs to be convinced. Obviously, it's a challenging time. It's a important moment now. But again, FIA has unified everyone. We're working together as a championship with all stakeholders to bring everything back on track. Because we know if we fix this time, it's going to be okay, and it's going to be where everybody wants it to be in the future in 3, 4, 5 years' time.
Yeah, and I think if you're a rallycross fan, even though, you know, the lack of updates and everything. But if you're a rallycross fan in 2025, you can just expect good rallycross. Simple as that.
Yeah, you will enjoy. You will enjoy.
That's all we're trying to do, you know? Good rallycross. Like, and I'm super excited for it. Like, just go back to normal good tracks. You know, there are some investments from new tracks already. Like, we will go back to those places and so on. But, like, yeah. Do you know, like, you take the start in a race or you come out second, you joker early, you fall back to fourth, but having done the joker, you're chasing the car down ahead of you. You merge from the joker lap with the other leader. Like, then there is a battle. You know, last lap is coming up. You're trying to make the move. Like, all these things. Isn't that just beautiful? Like, I get tears in my eyes.
It's just simple, beautiful. Yeah, simple, beautiful racing. I think of Argentina 2016, or I think it was, and just that, like, Ekstrom jokers from second place, being chasing Larsen all final. He jokers. He has a big moment. Comes out side by side with Solberg. Big fight. Larsen jokers. Keeps it nice and tidy, but it's such a long joker lap. Comes out, takes the win. Like, those things is exactly what we love. And like the head-to-head, again, Ekstrom Solberg to the line, super close. Or like your always classic move in Höljes, joker first lap, chase everyone down, win the semi-final, front row final, win. It's like, you know, the joker lap is fantastic.
Or, you know, the underdog story of, like, this person doesn't have the speed, but he has the start, right? So, like, this person, like, he keeps getting the start. He keep holding on for dear life with the joker lap strategy, like jokering the lap after the competitors, keeping the lead, defending all the way to the line, getting pole in the next race. Everything boils down into the final, the big decider. You know,
This is where we come into the second part of this episode, where we speak about the joker lap, because it's such a beautiful part of this sport and something I think that we need to highlight a little bit. How did it come about? How do you operate it? Who takes the decisions? Let's dive into a bit of this fantastic detail with the joker lap.
And now, good music.
Yeah, do that again.
Do
that again.
The little sound.
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah.
The joker lap that we all love, deep-rooted into rallycross, but it hasn't always existed. And we have an untold story about how it was created, and it's very close to our hearts in the Hansen family. But first, before we say that, we got to take you back to what was rallycross before we had a joker lap.
It's a good question. It was probably boring.
I was expecting you to take over. I was doing like a transition.
It was perfect.
Podcast pro Timmy here is not followed by his brother. Okay, so the transition I was looking for.
Yeah, go on. You carry
was
on.
This. In the 1980s, whatever year it was, rallycross was simply putting rally cars on a circuit, make a start, 6 laps, finish. And that's simple and beautiful in itself, but the races turned out 90%, if not more, of the one who was out ahead in the first corner won the race. And there was no need whatsoever for the leader to push, to go fast, because he knew that if he simply went slowly and cover, I'm not talking about a little defensive drive here now. I'm talking about slow down 3 seconds a lap kind of defense.
Yeah, just to be parking apex, make sure there is no opportunity whatsoever to go on the inside anywhere.
Yeah.
Because you can always cover the outside, but you know, that inside was never an option. It was so covered off.
Yeah. And being rallycross, we all know that there is like a grippy line, there is loose gravel on the outside. Overtaking on the outside is almost impossible. So the races ended up very boring. And the reason why this story is so close to our hearts in the Hansen family is because I remember very clearly sitting at my grandparents' table, and my granddad, Sven, so Kenneth's father, told me, "Did you know that I actually invented the joker lap?" I was like, "Oh, really?" Being just a kid, I didn't realize, the size of what he was just about to tell me. But we were having dinner or whatever, and he told me that the sport was in this condition, and he started thinking, like, how can we get some overtaking going? How can we get some cars to pass? What would happen if we would put two straights beside each other? So you'd have to choose which straight you want to go on. Now, that won't work, because there will be one straight faster than the other. Everyone will go in the same straight. What about two corners side by side? No, it's the same. Like, it won't work, because one corner will be much slower than the other corner. But actually, what would happen if you made it mandatory to take the slow corner once a race? Maybe that would force some people to, lose a bit of time in some point. So he brought this idea into our local club, Götene Motor Club, and they were actually a major player in the European Championship back then. They were hosting the Swedish round in our home track, and they decided to go for it and try it. But when he stood up and said, let's bring this into all the tracks, this is, I think, something that could work, everybody laughed. Everybody said that is a ridiculous idea. What are you talking about? Nobody will understand. This will be so bad for the sport. But they kept going in our local race. He thought that wasn't too bad. It was kind of interesting. We saw the leader having to take the slow corner one time, and like we saw a bit of different race. And fast forward a couple of years, other tracks started to implement it. The last ones to implement it was France. They were very strong.
They were not happy.
Yeah, on the tradition.
Too surprised. The French like their traditional things. And just to bring in one point of why did he start to think about it, and this is what I really like about it. He was so frustrated, our grandpa, that Per Eklund took that start always and stopped on track in front of Kenneth and blocked him all the time. That wide Saab, built like a tank, took the start. Per built the car for the start, and he just blocked. And it made him crazy. So he had to, figure out how like a Hansen always, how can we win? And not only did it change our sport, the Joker lap was discussed to be introduced to Formula One for a while. And I just think that is an incredible point to. It's come from the Hansen family. That's why we are the Rallycross family, because we not only have been there for 35 years, more than half the lifetime of the sport. We've invented one of the major thing that is a strategy into this sport as well. And to imagine that it was almost in the F1 circuit, it's crazy.
And it's a standard in Formula E. They have to take that outside turn one time to pick up the boost, and that's kind of similar. But talk about being angry at your competitors. Oh, we can't beat him.
Mad.
And then also thinking outside the box, like, oh man, what can we do to beat him? Let's change the sport. Let's make another corner on track. Like,
imagine how frustrating. Again, he took the start. Again, he blocks us. We are so much faster, but it takes the start all the time. It still is like the start is the major player, but it is crazy how good Per was in the starts.
Yeah. And we still have, that old element of rallycross where if you take the start, you can block. But you always have to go fast at least one lap. And it's when you go fast, really push the limits, really try to do your very, very best. That's when mistakes happen. That's when interesting stuff is happening. That's when the faster driver has their opportunity to shine in the race, even though you maybe weren't, good in the start. But, we still have that classic element of if you're in the lead, for example, if the whole field have jokered by lap 3 and you're leading and it's the final, I don't think anybody would be stupid enough to push maximum the limit, unless you're the fastest, of course, and you drive away. But if you have someone knocking on your door in every corner, everybody slows down. Like, we still have that like that kind of driving in the sport, but the races aren't always only that, which is I think,
it changes up. It's like strategies, and it changes from race to race all the time. There isn't one thing that is better always. Like, for example, in F1 Monaco, make sure you don't get undercut. Like, pit before, get fresh tires on, take the lead. It's impossible to overtake. What is
the best Joker lap strategy you have ever seen, Kevin? I got one.
I'm not sure. It's probably yourself.
No.
I mean, I can say the worst is following you in Silverstone and spinning and crashing out from the semi. That's the worst one.
In the semi.
So we can take the better one now.
No, the best Joker lap strategy I have ever seen was Andreas Bakkerud in Hell, Norway, in the semi-final. Petter Solberg started in second. And it was this classic example of the underdog who kept taking the start. Like, of course, the Polos, and this time 2017, were the car to beat. Like, they were super fast. But Bakkerud, as he often does, kept taking the start, kept fighting back. So he had pole position, but he knew that if he lets Petter get a single lap alone, he would not be able to defend. So what Andreas did from the start in Norway, from pole position, he goes straight into the Joker lap because he knew that Petter will take it. He will not try and be stuck behind him for a lap or whatever. Petter will go out there, and he's the only driver I need to defend from. So from the lead in the semi-final, Joker lap 1, that was cool.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's so. If you start in pole in Norway, you're sure you will get out first from the first corner. So it's kind of like, obviously, you're going to take turn 1 because it's so sharp. You're going to take the lead. Everything's going to be fine. See how it goes. Played outside the box and fair play. And who did he speak to about that strategy? Obviously, that's the spotter. The spotter always
Mansfield
is someone that, is Mansfield. And he was coach. The spotter coaches the driver during the race and makes up the strategy for us. They have an overview of the complete racetrack, the splits, what time does it take to do the Joker laps. Normally it's 3 seconds. They sit there, they take split times. Yeah, it's 3.2. We're okay to Joker if we want, but it's going to be tight. The driver can't make any mistakes. We obviously drive to try and just be perfect in every corner as we drive. And the spotters that speak to us in the radio, they make the strategy of when to use this Joker lap, if that is on lap 2, 3, 4, 5. What suits best? Is someone chasing up? Is someone just on our bumper? It's so many scenarios that they need to take into consideration. And you have Kenneth, for example. I have Graham, my engineer. It's so much about the experience because the race is so quick, it's so short. Everything happens so rapidly. So you don't have time to sit there and analyze, okay, that's maybe it's like this and that. And maybe if we take it in 2 laps, you don't have time. It's not like F1, you sit on a pit wall with your computer and it is in the moment. Reaction, is it okay, is it not, what do I take the risk on, do I not take the risk? They have to manage that whole race for us, and it's again a big feature that wasn't allowed in the past but is now allowed, that assists to that strategy level of rallycross.
I'm still thinking about Norway 17 because imagine you're Andreas Bakkerud now and you've Joker the first lap, done the best Joker strategy of all time. You come out of the Joker, you're not leading the semi-final right now because obviously you went into the Joker. And you got Petter Solberg chasing you as an angry dog on your bumper.
How exciting.
And there is a lot of work still to be done. But no, he did do the work. And Petter was so mad after. He was so disappointed. He was devastated.
He was like, how did you dare do that against me?
Yeah.
Petter
he took it very personally.
He did, yeah. It's like, what? It's a joke strategy, mate. You don't have priority. You haven't the rights reserved to Joker first on the first lap. Anyone can do it. But he took it so personally.
Yeah.
And I just love that. It was. I wish we could just cut in the image of him being so let down, gutted, because he missed the final even.
Yeah.
From going crazy after or whatever. And yeah, what a brilliant time.
And then he didn't dare to do it in the final. I think everybody was expecting Andreas because he had pole in the final again after as well. And now Johan was in second place, but he didn't do it. But I still think he won. I don't remember how the race played out, but it didn't do the move again.
I think, it was 16 he had a perfect weekend with the first Ford, and that was the year he Jokered. No, it was the year after he Jokered first lap.
Yeah. We gotta look,
I don't
look into
remember
it.
if he won.
If anyone remembers, please let us know. But also there are zero Bakkerud fans on this podcast, probably.
Oh, it was,
It's-
we have invited him, so soon maybe there will be a few tapping in.
I haven't texted him still, Andreas, because like I'm too nervous to invite him to the podcast. Like I'm
I did
afraid he
invite
will
him
say
in
no.
the comments. If you saw our X profile on Hansen, so my comment was, he said, I found these old photos on my phone from a very secret shakedown and the only test we had throughout the 2019 season. This was before we started the RX Cartel, which was rather hectic but fun period. And I said, fancy joining the podcast to tell your side of the 2019 season, AB? And he said, one day. A lot of likes. There's a lot of support from that happening. So
Yeah.
I don't know how we can
You know
get
what I
him
think
reeled in.
we should do, like, just because we can't just bring Andreas in as like we gotta build this up, because he's like the one guest that I would love to have here. The reason being that like we've been such strong opponents. Like we always used to hate each other back in 2019. I think we should tell, if you and I tell the story to the listeners about the 2019 season and a little bit about everything, of course, but like tell the story in detail of how we won the World Rallycross Championship. And then I want to hear Andreas's version of the same story, because I've been telling our story so many times, but I really would like to hear his side of it. And I would
Me
also
too.
really like him to say whatever shit he's got about us. It's been 5-6 years, whatever.
He's
Like I would love to
more
hear
than welcome.
I would love to hear the other side of this whole story, and also a general update on what's Nitro been like and where is he at in his career at the moment.
He's made a statement. His goal is to come back to the World Championship in 2026, or 27. So I really hope he succeeds. I miss racing with him. You raced with him in Vegas.
Oh,
so obviously, Andreas,
we've had so many good battles. Like we go back to 2013, we were both rookies in Rallycross. It was the European Championship was the biggest thing then, and we battled it out for the win in Höljes in that very first year. Like he overtook me on track. Like, and we always have, for some reason, we end up on the same place at the track every time. And like he's kind of my number one rival.
Yeah.
Throughout all the years,
Yeah,
even
great.
throughout that 2019 season when we ended up winning, we were tied on points with Andreas. We've had so many good times, but also like kind of hated each other small periods, like God, that asshole.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% sure he said the same about us. That's why I want to hear his story.
100%. It's mad that it's your biggest rival, but I was leading that year. More than 50% of the season, I was leading the 2019 season. But everybody only remembers that final. But I was still in contention the race before, in the semifinal.
Well, you lost the lead in that worst Joker lap strategy of all time that you said before in Silverstone.
Yeah, no, that was
that year.
earlier in the season.
That was earlier in the season.
Lead then, I think.
But that's when you lost
and then
the
I
lead.
regained it in Höljes. And I had it until Riga, and you and Andreas took over, and then went to Cape Town. Anyway, this is a whole, as you can hear, there is a whole 1, 2, 3 episodes when you speak about this 2019 season. And shout out to Andreas. Please join us. You're more than welcome. It's all a friendly podcast. But a lot of things happening. A bold new era for the World Rallycross Championship. The Joker strategy, founded by Sven Hansen and Andreas Bakkerud. Well done to the best Joker strategy of all time. You're more than welcome to join us. Should we see everyone next week then?
Yeah.
For some more exciting times.
Great episode. Great to finally be able to share some news. Let's catch up next Thursday, as always, every week. Thank you for listening.
Cheers, guys.